Hello, this is Tanisha of Crown Insights Consulting. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the second part of my series, Secrets Used by Big Brands for Growth. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if this is your first time on my channel, let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I have 12 years of experience working in the digital space. I started out working on technical things, being more of a web developer, and my career evolved into the strategic side of things, working on digital marketing, branding, content creation, content strategy, things like that. And I worked for brands Samsung, Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade, Verizon, just to name a few. And during my time here, I have learned a great deal about secrets that big brands use for growth and their tactics and the strategies that they use in order to sustain their success. And so my channel is all about that, sharing my expertise with you. And so let's go ahead and get into the second part of this series where I'm going to be focused on big brands use customer feedback and how much they value this as a secret to their big growth. So essentially, they value customer feedback. So big brands understand the power of a consumer review. It can essentially make or break you, especially if you're a business and you don't really have that many reviews or you're new. So it's really important to look at what big brands are doing and how they approach this. And they approach it by really keeping a close eye on everything their customers are saying about them, whether in product reviews or on social media, things like that. And so in cases where they do receive bad reviews, they do their best to do some type of damage control. But I have a few use cases where big brands have went above and beyond to do damage control. And they literally managed to take a bad review, or in these cases that I'm going to talk about, it was numerous bad reviews, in order to completely turn around their brand. So let's get into that. So the first example I'm going to talk to you about is in 2015 when Samsung released their Galaxy S6 phone. So the prior generation was the S5, and that was a phone that was really successful. It had a lot of rave reviews. So there was a lot of anticipation when Samsung released their Galaxy S6 phone. Now, when they released the phone, unfortunately, there were a lot of complaints from customers about how they had took away some of the key features that made their phone unique, that made their phone great and stick out from their competitors. And so what ended up happening is Samsung still went on to sell a lot of phones because they're Samsung. However, they didn't sell as many phones as, say, the previous generation of that phone. And so Samsung really did their due diligence to understand all of some of the complaints that customers had. And when they released the next phone, which was the S7, they listened to that customer feedback, all of the customer feedback that they had, and they added back those features that customers complained about. And they went on to have, that phone went on to have a lot of success and rave reviews. And so they managed to really turn around, some of that perception that people had, like basically saying that, oh no, they took away the great features of the phone, And so another example that I want to discuss is not Papa John's, pardon me, Dominos. So Dominos took an unconventional route of publicizing some of their harshest customer reviews, and they used it as part of their rebranding strategy in a 2009 marketing campaign called the Pizza Turnaround. Now, in this campaign, they documented their journey from being America's least favorite pizza. So literally, people were saying their pizza tasted like cardboard. It was awful. That is pretty harsh, So Domino's was really transparent about showcasing what was that journey and how they ended up deciding to completely get rid of the old recipe and come up with a new recipe. And I don't know if you remember that, but I do remember that when, there were all those commercials and ads where the CEO was just being really transparent with everyone, like, look, we know we suck, we paid attention to your feedback, and we want to do better. We are doing better. We created this new recipe, go and try it. And so I remember even myself being repulsed by, their brand just because of some of, the complaints or things that you've seen in the media. And I do remember years later going on and trying their pizza. And yeah, it was a big, big change. So Domino's, needless to say, that transparent marketing campaign, rebranding campaign worked in their success because, of course, the product was the thing that they got together. And in both of these cases with Samsung and Domino's, they made sure that the product was right. So that's one of the most obvious things that I can tell you as how you can take a similar approach and valuing your customer feedback is make sure your product is right. If you have the good product, then the product is really going to do some of the hardest work for you in order to make sure that your customers are satisfied and that your customers are happy. Now, there are some other more practical tactics that you can take to take the similar route as big brands to make sure that you're valuing your customer feedback and using it to grow your brand. So I'm going to talk about some 4 of the best practices that I have come up with that you can use for your brand. So the first one is make sure you stay updated on latest customer reviews by setting up some type of notification every time you receive a new review, okay? And you can do this through Google. Google has where you can set up alerts anytime there's a mention of certain things. And so use it to set up an alert just specifically for your company, okay? The second thing is interact with every review. So if it's a good review, say thank you. If it's a negative review, do your best to resolve the issue, aka do some form of damage control. Sincerely, that is, because I know one of the things that I will often do when I look at reviews, if I do see a negative review, I will look to see if the company responded once, and then 2, how they responded. If the company responded by getting nasty or arguing, it just makes everybody look bad. There can be some scenarios where the customer was maybe not being the most pleasant, okay? And who knows, like, we don't know, maybe the company wasn't in the wrong in this case, but either way, it's really important as to how the company responds. If the company is giving back the negativity that the customer is giving, it just makes everybody look bad. So definitely remember in your responses, even if someone is totally trashing your company, really try to take the high road because a negative review might not always mean that the customer is going to, customers that see it are going to say, oh, I don't want to be bothered, they got negative reviews. Sometimes there are certain people that say, okay, let me see what this customer is saying. Is this customer sounding like someone that's just being nitpicky? Do these things sound justified? And then the customer will look to see how you responded to them. I always look at a company more highly if I see that they responded in a positive way to some nasty reviews. Just saying. So yeah, make sure you're very conscious about how you respond to those negative reviews. Number 3, highlight your best positive reviews either on the homepage of your website, on social media, or feature them in your email. So I know that that's a tactic that I often see on social media is as companies are getting those good reviews, they always make sure to showcase them. So that's like a very practical thing that I see a lot of companies, big, small, using, okay? The third thing, read through every review. So I kind of mentioned that when I was saying that you should be sure to reply to them, but I mean, read through them and actually take customer ideas and critiques into consideration, okay? So you never know, there might be an amazing idea that you have that a customer has because you listen to some of that feedback. And I think overall, by you reading through those reviews, it really kind of helps you to do a temperature check on, are things going good? Are things not going good? Are people liking the product? Or are people not liking the product? So of course, one of the early indicators would be sales, but sometimes it takes time in order to really get all of that information to be able to get an understanding of, are we doing good? Are we doing bad? So yeah, sometimes reading through and keeping up with your reviews will really help you to have an understanding on how things are going. So that's going to be it for the second part in this series. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a like, share it with someone, share this video with someone that you know could benefit from this information, and definitely leave me comments below about more things, secrets from big brands that you want to know, or questions that you could have for me. Thank you, and talk soon.